Hello, and welcome to the Frontend Coffee Break podcast, where we take a moment for our everyday lives and grab a cup of Joe, a cup of coffee, a bit of tea, mate, or whatever is your poison, and we talk about front-end related topics. And this time we are at episode 52, so we're past the 50 mental number, and we're going to, I don't know how long it will take us to go to episode 100. In any case, as always, here with me, Ricardo. Hello.
Hey, Chucha. 50 episodes in how many years? It's 3 years, 2 years since 2022. So three more years, 100. It's fine. But we'll make it.
Okay, so 2028 sounds like a reasonable year to celebrate the 100th episode. Anywho, today's topic, although we usually talk about a lot of very front-end related topics, today's topic it's going to be a little bit different, but it's still related to something that we as front-ends do. We, back in episode, I don't know if you remember, back in episode 41, we talked about how we manage stress in the front-end world. And we talked about how important it is to avoid burnout and other stuff. And we talked about different strategies to apply during work, but it was all related to work. And the idea today is that we will like to focus on the importance of non-working hours, or how people call it, a personal life. So today we're going to talk about the importance of taking time off, and a little bit about how we manage our time off, vacations, and these kind of things, and just give a little bit of tips and talk a little bit about stories that we've had in the past. So how does that sound?
Yeah, it sounds great, and it sounds like obvious that you should take time off, right? But I think we've all known people, colleagues that work too much, that they end up maybe getting a burnout because they're doing over hours, they're not taking vacations when they need to, they even move vacations from year to the next year because they could not take them because of, I don't know, reasons, personal reasons or project reasons. I don't know. We'll discuss, but something that seems obvious to me, some people don't manage to do it.
And it is very important. Of course, it varies from country to country, and then again, also from company to company in the same country. Back in Mexico, when I started working there, the first year that you worked, at least this is how I remember, you had up to 1 week of vacation. And then every year that you worked in that same company, you added 1 day to the vacations, the amount of vacations.
You had only 5 days the first year?
If I remember correctly, yes.
Wow.
And
slavery.
Then you started but the thing is that for each year you started adding 1 additional day up to a certain amount. So
to get to 20 days, which is, well, I think in Spain is 22, 23, I don't know, the minimum, you would need 15 years in that company to reach the 20 days mark. That feels a lot. What happened if you switch companies? Did you reset the counter?
Okay, let me see. Yes, you would reset the counter. I am doing a quick search because it's been some time since I've worked in Mexico. And it's 12 vacation days, sorry. And starting the second day, it's 12. It's not 1 week.
Okay, so it's 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. And then you started adding 1 until you reach 20.
20.
So after 8 years, you reach the maximum amount, which is 20. And it was the beginning of my career, and I wasn't really. I started working at a school, my college, so I actually had way more vacations than normal because it followed a lot of the college calendar. So it was different, and then I started moving around. So I think back in Mexico, I never got to be in a company for longer than a couple of years, and until I came here. And I also wasn't working continuously all the time. So I did manage to get a little bit more vacations. I didn't leave how that was. But yeah, this is the amount that you get. And there's other countries that you just get certain amounts and very few, and that's it. And if you want more days, you can take them, but you don't get paid for them. I mean, it's crazy depending on where you are.
You must be very happy now at Content Center. You get 32 days a year. That's fantastic.
Yes. But let's just clear this out. It's 30 days plus 2 days that you need to take in very specific dates, but still.
The 24th of December and the 31st of December.
The 31st, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But anyhow, vacations are very important. And I think that sometimes we neglect taking them, as you said, because project works or whatever, and you start to accumulate them, and then you end up with doing burnout. But before we talk about a little bit about this, how do you take vacations? Because there's people that take long vacations. Like I know even the case of someone that takes all of their vacations plus one extra unpaid month of leave, so that they have like 2 or 3 months of vacations like completely, so that they disconnect and they say, I don't care about earning less money, but it is time of my life that I'm going to be enjoying. But how
Well,
about you?
that's awesome to have the luxury to be able to not make money for 1 month. That's nice. It's a
And this
luxury.
is very important to say. Yes, it is very nice.
So for me, I usually take one big vacation a year, make it like maybe 3 weeks or more. I want to really, really disconnect, travel very far away when I go to maybe South Korea or Japan, things like that. And then throughout the year, I will cherry pick some days here and there because, I don't know, small local reasons or small travel reasons that I want to make. Maybe, a 3-day weekend or something, then I will cherry pick a Monday or a Friday. But usually if I do short bursts, I cannot like fully disconnect from work. Like if you get, even if it's a week, you will start, it's already the next Friday or the next Saturday, next Sunday, it's already Monday. I mean, for me, it's just too short, right? And when you go somewhere really far away and then you go, even if it's not far away, but you stay for a long time, like 3 weeks, you really, really can unplug and say, yeah, I'm not thinking about what's going to happen at work this week, next week, the release, whatever. My colleagues are fine. They'll be fine. They'll survive.
My colleagues are fine.
so yeah, I think 2-3 weeks for me would be the great. If it's possible for you in your company, some companies don't allow it. It's a nice number.
I used to do that at the beginning, but it was when I was traveling more often to Mexico, and I basically say, hey, I'm traveling to Mexico and visiting my family and friends. I took as much time as I could. But right now, I'm not. It is true that you disconnect, and it's very nice. But and if you do really need to disconnect, I guess I think that there are studies that suggest that long vacations are better to really disconnect. So if you really need to do that, and the company allows it, that would be a fantastic option. In my case, I'm more of the micro vacations. That's usually enough for me. I don't need to disconnect that much, especially because since we can travel or we're working from home. We're working on from home. Sometimes I go to, for example, to Oviedo and spend a week or two there at home. And for me, it's a way to disconnect from my everyday routine. And I'm still working, but that works for me. In any case, I'm more of a micro vacations, 1-2 weeks at most, and then use the days around the year. One year, I actually started taking Fridays off of an entire month, 2 months, and because I didn't know and didn't have any big plans. And for me, it worked quite nicely to have for 2 months 4 work day weeks, and 3-day long weekends.
I mean, that's the dream. The dream is to not spend any vacations, but some like the companies give you every Friday off. That would be amazing. Three days. Yeah.
We don't get that, so I had to use vacations for that, but that worked for me. In any case, as you said, sometimes companies don't allow it, and it is very important. Vacations are very important, and sometimes I think that we don't manage to get vacations because we don't manage to plan them on time, and so it's important that if you do want to take a long vacation and your company allows it, to be, if you can, to try to plan them as soon as possible, especially project wise. Because sometimes people don't take, as you said, the vacations because the project doesn't allow it. Well, plan it, and so that's very important.
It's key. I mean, in the end, it's just allowing your colleagues to plan around your vacations. If you say, yeah, in 2 months time I will be leaving for 3 weeks, it's fine. I mean, they can plan the sprints, releases, they can find a replacement for you, you can hand over work. It's easy. You set expectations for your client or your colleagues. This week I'll be off, let's have some meetings now, and then you can work without me. So definitely, if it's possible for you, because you can actually plan your life ahead, that's fantastic, and it's really encouraged. And you will not find like how they say this, opposition from your projects or your client if you let them know in advance. Everybody needs to take vacation, so it's absolutely fine.
And it is sometimes it will require a little bit of negotiating with the people of the project, but you need to make sure, like, hey, the best thing that you can do, and it worked when we were talking about how to manage stress. Talk to your team, talk to the manager, the project manager, plan ahead. This will reduce burnout. It will allow you to plan better, and try to find like vacations. And once you get them, I mean, my recommendation is when you get them, go for them. And if the project is not doing well, try to do the best that you can. But it is we work so hard for things to go well that we deserve a time off, and we shouldn't be going out on vacation. Oh, the project's terrible. No, no, no. You shouldn't be
Yes,
worried about
turn
that.
off your notifications, shut up in your like mobile phone, company phone, everything just off. Really, I mean, I guess there are key roles in certain companies that you cannot turn the
Yes,
phone
that
off.
is true.
Maybe if you're the owner or something, but really, if you're a front end, this is a front end podcast, a front end lead, front end architect, front end developer, there should be a way for your team to survive without you for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. There has to be a way. Find it, and then when you do, just unplug everything and tell them, I'm off radar, no connection. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
And now that we're mentioning this, time off is very important, to respect the time off that you have. When you go on vacation, it's very important not to think about work. And one way to do it is, as you said, disconnect. Because what's the case? What's the use of taking a 3-week vacation and just at the middle you have to get into a call and say, "Hi, yeah, well, I can help." No, it's like you're resetting the timer. I don't know
Absolutely.
if that's ever happened to you.
No, no, I don't think so. I'm super strict when it comes to vacations, and I turn off everything, and yeah, Slack, everything is off. So definitely, there's no way to reach me, I think. And sometimes I'm even like off the grid. I really, if you're in another country and you don't have roaming, and really my phone is off. So
Mm,
there's just no way to reach
literally.
me. Maybe email, right? And I think it has to go both ways. First, for you, like respect yourself to turn everything off and allow yourself to recharge and to heal on these vacations. But also for other people, if you are working and you know they're on vacation, please don't message them. Like, don't send them emails, don't send them Slack messages. And nowadays, Gmail, Slack, and all these tools allow you to schedule messages. Just schedule your message
Yes.
for when they come back. So then, in the off chance that they have notifications on, it doesn't pop the notifications saying, "Hey, let's talk about this." Just schedule it. Like, put the meeting when they're back. I think you'll survive. It's fine, but definitely respect each other.
And this is something that it's very nice that you bring this up, because yes, you have to make yourself people respect you, but you should also respect other people's time. If you have an issue, you should definitely try to figure it out without the person being there. And if you can, for whatever reason, you need to learn what see what the lessons are to learn are there, to for this not to happen again, which shouldn't be, oh, he can't go or they can't go on vacation. No. um this is something that I don't always do, but sometimes when I remember, I do it, which is to schedule the messages to people that are not going to be there. Because you can always say, oh, this is for when you come back, and no, some of them are just gonna, oh, I got a notification, I'm gonna read, and no, 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 no. It should be, you have notifications, do it. And if you're on vacation, if you can put your email to respond automatically to say, hey, I'm on vacation, but I'll be back here, do it. Respect your time off. People that, for example, that get called are people usually, as you say, important people, or important people for the companies to keep on working, or they're paid for that. There's people that's on watch, and that's also acceptable. They're paid, but they're paying you to be
Yeah,
available.
to be on call, right? To be available. That's a different thing. Then they're paying
Yeah,
you to be close to your phone, close to your laptop. But that's a different topic, I guess. Yeah, that doesn't apply.
exactly. And I have gotten called twice in all the time that I've been a Cognizant Eccentric,
Okay.
on a weekend, on emergencies. And in that case, yes, I was the person that, in one case, that could do it faster, and in the other case, I was the only person that could do it. But then again, I have a company phone, and I am aware that they might call me. I'm not going to look at Slack or anything, but if they call me, I do answer. And usually, fortunately, I've only been called in very extreme circumstances, in the sense like, hey, we need this. And fortunately, it's always been in moments that I can actually have the time to do stuff, to do it. Like one time I was coming back from a trip, and they called me while I was coming back on the train. It's like, oh, sure, I'll get home and I'll look at it. And the other one, I was in the middle of visiting nearby Barcelona somewhere. It's like, sure, is it urgent? Like, no, you need to get done by tomorrow morning because blah blah. It's like perfect, and I managed to do it. But very important. I mean, I allowed it to work this way, but because I was aware. But very important, I didn't work for free. All the work that I did was work that was paid somehow with extra hours or with extra salary or whatever, but it was not unpaid work. And that's very important.
Yeah, two things. One, what was it? To change a button from green to red? And I mean, how often do front-end developers have like production issues that they need to fix on a weekend? Usually you do the deployments on Monday, Tuesday, QA does regression testing, and then what's the worst that's going to happen? The button doesn't work. But yeah, I get you. So I mean, that was good for you. You had your was your choice to have your
Yes,
company
it
phone
was.
on, even though you were on a weekend, so you could have had it off perfectly and no issues there. Yeah, and I just said definitely don't work for free. I don't know, when people tell me that they do over hours and they don't get compensated, I'm like, but could you go to the supermarket and steal some food? And no, you're gonna do
True.
that, right? So same thing here. Giving your time for free is not like, it's not okay. I don't know how else to say it. It's not okay. It's fine, for instance, if you have a flexible like schedule or flexible time where you can say, okay, today I'm going to work 10 hours because I need to deliver this. But then tomorrow I'm going to work 4 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours. At the end of the week, you do your 40, at least in Spain, you do 40 hours in the week, and then it's fine. I think it's your freedom to manage your own time. That's fantastic. But doing more than 40, not being compensated, that's a big red flag. You should definitely say no. Just learn to say no.
Yeah. I actually learned this very early in my career. I'm talking about 23, 24 years ago. I learned, no, 23 years ago, I learned this very hard lesson. And I was working for a department. And I remember that I am the kind of person that I'm on time to arrive and to leave. But I am on time. I usually, if I start at 8, I come here and sit down late and start working. And then if it's at 5, at 5 I'm gone. So one day, my boss comes and they tell me, "Hey, where were you? I have been looking for you." And it's like, "Oh, I was in my coffee break." And they were very upset because they couldn't find me. And yeah, they said, "Oh, well, you should be more to have to know better that you should be on the lookout." I don't know how to say it right now, but you should
Be at
be
your
careful.
desk at all
Yes,
times.
or it was sort of what, without saying that, that was precisely what they were saying.
Okay.
You should be maybe more on your ass the whole time. And then after that, in the following days, they started saying, "Hey, they started being a little bit more strict with my time." And at one point, I remember it was Friday. I was very tired. I was working on something, and I said, "Okay, this is as far as I can get." And I had worked for, I don't know, a little bit, about half an hour. I just stood up and I was going to leave, and my boss saw me. He's like, "Hey, where are you going?" It's like, "Well, I'm done. It's my time. It's a little bit over my time. This is going to take way more time than I expected. I'll continue on Mondays." Like, "Oh, no, you shouldn't. You cannot leave." It's like, "What do you mean you cannot leave?" No, you cannot leave, because you should finish. You should leave once your work is done. And it's like, I mean,
But that's double-edged sword. Like if you finish your work at 9 a.m., then you leave, right?
yeah, no, and that was the thing. It's like, they wanted me, and after having a discussion about this, it's like, no, it's time for me to go. I should be going. And they said precisely this. I discussed about this like this, and they said, no, you have to be at your desk from 8 to 5, and if there's still more work, you have to stay until the work is done.
Wow.
It's like,
Wow.
and I went very upset. I said, "Oh, I do not." We had a discussion. It's like, "I do not agree with this. I don't think this is the way it should work." We had a discussion, and I left. And that night, I talked to my dad, and I was telling him the story. Like, "Hey, this happened to me, and I'm very upset because, I mean, they're pushing me to do these extra hours, and I don't think it's fair." And my dad said, he gave me one of the best advice that I've received work wise, and he said, "Well, whenever they tell you to do extra hours, what you need to say is, 'Of course, I will do them.' Like, happily say, 'Yes, I can. I can do them.' how much, and then you need to ask, how much am I getting, or how am I going to get compensated for them? And then if they tell you, oh, we're going to pay you like this, or we're going to pay you like that, well, you go ahead and you do them. Of course, you have to take into account if you have very, very important thing to do with your family and such. That should be the most important thing to do. But it's like, if you're okay, it's like, perfect, you do it. But if they tell you, which is usually the case, oh no, this is for free, or because it has to be done, then you say, oh, I am sorry, I cannot work if I am not getting compensated. I would love to do the work, but if you can compensate it, then I cannot do it. But I want to do it. So if you compensate it, I will happily do it. And it changed my way of thinking about extra time, because it made me realize that it's true. It's like, I'm willing to do it. I am open to do it. Of course, balancing life and work and life, but I need to get compensated because I don't work for free. And you have to show, like, put the burden on them. It's like, if you cannot pay me, then I cannot work. I want to work, but you need to pay me somehow. Whether it's less hours in the next day, more vacations, or whatever, I need to get compensated. And it has worked for me quite nicely. Just to finish the story, sorry for going so long. I once did an interview in a company, and I asked this, hey, how do you do work with extra hours? They said, oh, we don't pay them. We don't pay them. But well, if you do extra hours one day, you can compensate the next day. It's like, okay, so if I do 4 hours one day, I can come the next day, or a couple of days less those 4 hours. Yes, of course, it can work like this. Perfect. And I worked for a year in that company, and it happened to me that one day the boss comes to me and say, hey, I need you to finish this. I don't know, I don't care how long it needs to you take. You need to be here. This needs to be done today. It's like, okay. And then they said, so if you take whatever hours you take, tomorrow you take them off. I mean, they immediately said it. And I loved it because I didn't even have to fight it. We had already agreed that there was going to be compensation, and it happened. And I had a lot of my colleagues that were doing extra hours for free because they weren't um, brave enough to actually stand up and say, hey, I do not work for free. And since if you're working for free, the company is not going to say, oh, no, stop working. Usually they don't say that. So that's the advice that I got, and I it's been very useful for me since.
Phew. Thank you for the story. I didn't know what to say. I absolutely agree with you, of course. Like, stand up for yourself, say no. And although the advice was good, I also, like, sometimes even paid work is not worth it. Like, sometimes even if they compensate you, and as you mentioned, they taking time off you from your family, your friends, your loved ones, it's maybe not worth it. I mean, if you're lucky enough to be making enough money on your, like, regular, like, pay slip, you don't need the extra dough, extra cash. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, like, I've been fortunate enough to never really needed these things, and I could say, no, I don't want to work, even if it's compensated. I value more my free time, my personal time, as we said at the beginning of the episode, to have my weekends, to see my friends, my hobbies, more whatever. So definitely, sometimes it's more valuable than mental health is more valuable than money.
Yeah, on the long run, definitely. And well, but for the most part, if the project is well managed, or if you're planning it correctly, usually you shouldn't have that much problem, right?
Not you, because you're a front-end developer, front-end lead, but you should have your project managers or account managers or product owners. I don't know, it depends on your project and your company. And they should be the ones that shield you from all this madness, right? In the end, a good, well-planned project should account for eventualities, like it should account for issues, problems, delays in deadlines. And then you would have your own contingencies and buffers already accounted in your spreadsheets and whatever you're doing to plan your sprints. And definitely, it never should be okay to work on a weekend or overtime. It's like, just plan better. Just plan better. And PMs and everybody, front-end leads, they need to be strong enough to say to the client, yeah, you're changing a scope here. It was not planned. We cannot deliver it. I'm sorry. It will be done in the next sprint. And that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I don't know. I think it's very easy. It's a cheap way out for a project manager to just say yes to the client because they're paying. And then it just escalates down, like CSS cascades down to to the last one, the monkey who was hitting the keyboard, the developer who has to stay longer just because somebody undersold the project or didn't manage. So it's a no go.
And that's why it's also important. If you see that something is unrealistic, even if you don't have a lot of power to say, oh, I cannot do it, just speak out and speak up and say, hey, the amount of work that we have in this sprint is not possible. I think I can get to this place, but that's as much as I can agree to. And at one point, this is something that you can also use if they say, hey, we need to finish this. Like I told you that we didn't have the time, and I don't have the possibility, or like you can pay me extra, I'll say, or directly as you say, I'm sorry, I do not have the time to stay more. But it's important to speak up, to verbalize, to make sure that they understand where they stand. And so communication is always, as always, very, very important. So, yes.
Oh, no. I was going to say that, yes, how like, do we ask the listeners how they unplug? What's their techniques? What are the tips, tricks to unplug from coding during vacations? Any tips from your side?
That would be on the other side. Well, I usually when I work, I usually don't code when I work. No.
Okay, and this is the week's episode. When I work, I don't
I'm
code.
not coding. No, when I don't work, I'm not coding.
Bye. Okay.
It's very rare. I usually, when I do the extra projects, is on the after work, but on working weeks. I don't. Weekends, it's unless I'm very excited. So for me, it's easy. For me, it's easy to unplug from coding. I just forget about it.
Just
I don't
open
touch
the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and you?
Nah.
Because it seems that you might be struggling with that.
Not struggling, but I again, I'm fortunate enough to enjoy coding, and sometimes if I'm doing a long vacation, 2-3 weeks, I might find myself and some days, doing some side things for fun because I don't know, we the front-end developers will always have our own apps to do stuff and our own sites and blogs and whatever, and it's always nice not nice, but you find yourself, I want to change this, I want to have this, and it would be nice to have this thing, that thing. So yeah, not hardcore stuff. Don't imagine me hacking at night all night long on my vacation, but yeah, I think I might open VS Code once in a while.
Well, I mean, and in the end, vacation doesn't mean that you are not going to do the work that you're doing. Well, it doesn't mean that you're not going to do the activity that you do at work, like coding. It means that you're taking a vacation from work. So it's important to take that into account. If you love coding, which fortunately me as well, I like it very much, but I usually don't code on vacations. It's fine to do it, but the important thing is to disconnect from work itself, to switch the chip, as they said, and not to do it. Okay, so question for the listeners: how do you take vacations? Do you take long vacations, short vacations? What do you think about this? And how do you handle the extra time? So I can't wait to see what we get, what responses we get. Maybe even my old boss writes, "Hey, you still owe me hours."
You owe me hours. No way. Chucho, see you next time.
Thank you, Ricard, and see you next time. And for everyone listening, thank you, and until the next podcast. Bye.